It was an action-packed day on Fast Friday here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My goodness, were the speeds high, and you can see some drivers emerging to the top, separating themselves ahead of qualifying as we inch closer and closer to the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500. We had our first two major incidents throughout the full 6-hour practice on Friday. No weather delays. That's always a good sign, but not a good sign when you're hitting the wall. Simpson of Chip Ganassi Racing hitting the wall heading into turn 4, and then later in the day, Kyle Larson of Arrow McLaren hitting the wall going into turn 3. So both drivers were totally okay. They feel good that their cars will be ready come qualifying this weekend. So that was the bad. The good, like I said, speeds were high. 2 Penske drivers, 2 Andretti drivers, and 2 Chip Ganassi Racing drivers rounding out your fast 6 of the day. Scott McLaughlin, your fastest speed, almost touching 234 miles an hour. Scott Dixon right behind him. Alex Palou in there. Colton Herta, Kyle Kirkwood, and Will Power rounding out your fast 6. What a day it was for those 6 drivers. Like I said, the speeds were high. We had a chance to catch up with drivers ahead of Fast Friday on what they're looking forward to ahead of qualifying this weekend. Hey everybody, welcome back to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Joining me now, back-to-back Indy 500 champ of Team Penske, Joseph Newgarden. Appreciate your time, sir. I know you're a very busy man. All right, Fast Friday is here, qualifying hot on its heels. How are you feeling about your car, your team, just everything going along with the month of May here?
I feel good. I mean, we were in a press conference. I was just saying how happy I am to be here. I love this time of year. You know, it's like Christmas in a lot of ways. So it's great to wake up, know you're at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I feel good so far. I think our car's in a good place, but you know, it's early days still. We got to get through tomorrow, Sunday, hopefully have a good qualifying spot, and then you know, the big show is next weekend, so I'm ready for it. What's
the evolution of your mindset been like of, okay, I haven't won, you get that first one, the relief, and now back-to-back? Does it make it easier, harder with all the growing pressure, anticipation, questions? What's kind of the evolution been like for you the last couple of years?
It's more relaxing for sure. I mean, when you're able to win this race, you get to enjoy it a little bit more. Same pressure, you know. I mean, everyone wants to perform when they show up here, regardless of if you've won it or not won it. But you definitely enjoy the history, the experience, probably a little bit more when you have won it.
Yeah, when you're going for a three-peat that's never been done before, that comes along with that is all the questions and all the incessant. Are you going to do it? How do you feel about it? But you know, drivers have made it clear this is one race, right? And you're always trying to win it. Does that take some pressure off? Like you kind of just mentioned, that you remove yourself from the history that could be made.
It just feels the same to me. You want to win Indy regardless of the circumstance. You know, it'd be very cool to win it 3 times in a row. I feel the same pressure I always feel. I'm still a little nervous, like always. It just doesn't feel different. The magnitude of this race is the same every year, regardless.
Absolutely. Okay, for qualifying, weather might play a role, especially the wind. How does that change your math, change your geometry a little bit with how it's going? And how difficult does that make it to plan and strategize?
Yeah, the wind's going to be tough. I think today and tomorrow in particular, you've just got to hopefully build a little more margin into the car, give yourself a little, cushion, maneuverability, if you will. The wind it makes it tricky. You know, when it gets under the car, this thing turns into a bit of a sail. It's almost like an airplane in some ways. So, yeah, you're just trying to build some comfort in for that.
Will, for you, big announcement during the Open Test last month that depending on where you finish, going to help out some veteran debt as well. So here we are, a week out from the 500 Indy pressure now. What are you going to do with the veteran debt?
It's
got to finish in the top 10, right? To double that.
I do, yeah, $1 million if I finish in the top 10. And they're going to wipe away $6 million worth of veteran debt.
Yeah. Is that what you offered?
The 6 or the 1?
The 1.
The 1. If I win, I think we can all put in, right? No, seriously, that's a bag. You shouldn't say that. But yeah, it's a great initiative, between Penske, Verizon, the Colts, IMS. It's a tough position to be in for these guys, these veterans, to rack up so much debt through no fault of their own, because it's all medical debt. It's and I'm really proud to be a part of it. I actually have a veteran on my car, Blaine Hardy. He's been on my car for more than a decade, and some of the stories you hear about these guys that went and fought for our country and end up in a terrible position. I think it's a very cool initiative.
And the car's running well too, so who knows on race day, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the plan. Not top 10, and plans to be number one.
Well, higher
so.
than that, yeah, I got
Yeah.
you. Joseph, stop me if you've heard this before. No one in the history, 108-year history of the 500 has gone 3 in a row. You've gone 2 in a row, though. Just getting that second one, I feel like you come in maybe relaxed and going for the third, or how would you describe your week so far for you?
I'm just happy to be here. You have no idea. Like, I know that sounds like a line just to state, but I wake up happy. I mean, it feels like Christmas. It's just the best. I love living here for 3 weeks. I almost wish it was longer. It's definitely one of my favorite times of the year, if not the favorite. And it just gets better when you win it. I feel like I'm looking back in my life while still living it. I know we're gonna look back on this and feel so cool about what we were able to do as far as, being able to drive for Team Penske with this group. It's been so fun. I mean, we have a really, really good team across the board. So, yeah, excited to go racing. Look, we have an opportunity, obviously, to set history next weekend, which would be tremendous. I'm not focused on that. I think it's circumstantial in a lot of ways. I want to win the race, and I think all of us do sitting up here. We all want to win the race, and that's what we're focused on. If we win the race, everything you just spoke about kind of falls in line. But we just got to focus on doing our job like every year and enjoy that process. That's what I've kind of brought myself back to the last 2 seasons. And yeah, like I said, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy it's the month of May.
We're happy you're here. How about that? So. All
Thank
good.
you, Dave.
Yeah,
That's
you
very
got
kind
it.
of you.
Scott, you seem more and more comfortable around here as well. Obviously, last year, fastest 4-lap average, winning on ovals and other tracks now. How much confidence do you have coming into this month of May for you?
Yeah, no, I feel every time you come here, I feel like you just take that next little step.
Yeah.
These guys have been coming here a long time, and I'm sort of leaning on them a little bit throughout that stage. But yeah, I feel super excited for what's ahead. I think having the experience of running up the front last year was crucial for me in my development and how I learnt from that. And I feel like I've sort of judged on what I did wrong and what I did right last year, and just trying to mold into a better person and better driver as we work forward. But yeah, really proud of the group. The team's worked so hard. We were fast last year, but at the end of the day, we haven't rested on our laurels, and we've worked even harder to be better again. So and that's what it takes in IndyCar. It's so tough out there right now. The margins are so tight. So you've just got to dot your I's, cross your T's, and hopefully at the end of it, you've picked the right settings and you make the right moves at the right times.
We'll open up for questions. Madeline's on that side. We've got Kinsey over here. Time permitting, we'll take some questions off Zoom as well. If you've got a question, raise your hand. Wolfgang is the first to have his hand up. Bob Pockrass, you're next after that. Wolfgang, go ahead, sir. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. 2, like always. One question for Rick Mears and one for Tim. Rick, from the very first time you sat in the IndyCar cockpit until nowadays, what do you think, or personally for you, is the most significant technology development in IndyCar racing or in IndyCar motorsport? And question for Tim. A couple of weeks ago, I got a media release. If I understood it correctly, you want to cut back a little bit your activities with Team Penske. Can you describe what you're doing now?
Sure.
Or you take it in the team?
Go ahead, Rick.
Rick, you want to go first?
Okay, yeah, as far as the biggest change to me is the safety. I think that's one of the largest things. When I started, the cars that we ran, say in the 79 car, it was state of the art, the safest car out there. And I'd look at the cars before me, and think, wow, how'd they drive those things? And but again, you can go from where I was at in 79. If I get in that car today and look around, I'm thinking, how'd I ever hit the wall with this? And it just keeps progressing. And today the safety is the biggest thing. You've got all your that and electronics as far as measuring everything that the car is doing, all the data readout and that kind of thing, to be able to fine tune in small areas, which we couldn't do back then. But really, safety is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, well, for me, I guess it was after the first of the year. I'm basically doing the IndyCar program that I've always done. I started in the IndyCar world and then spent the last 20 years doing whatever Roger decided he wanted to do in the racing world. I looked after it and just decided it was time for me to maybe have some time for myself and a bit more flexibility and go IndyCar racing exclusively, really. And yeah, I still look after, you know, the car collection and the archives and all that kind of stuff for Roger. But beyond that, it's business as usual on the IndyCar side, but don't really have responsibilities beyond that.
Bob?
Bob Hockers, Fox Sports. Rick, what does Joseph do that would allow him to win a third consecutive 500?
We talked a little bit about this the other day, and you know, all I can do is kind of go off what I felt I should do, you know, and I can't really speak for Joseph, but to me, it's just treated as another race. You know, myself, if I had two or, you know, whatever, it didn't matter. Each year you go into this race as a new race, and you're here to win it, and that was all of my focus was on this day. And it had nothing to do with whether it was number 2 or number 3 or number 4 or whatever. And but I think to me that helps keep it just as another race. You know, this is Indianapolis. It's almost impossible to keep it as another race. But that's you know, frame of mind I tried to keep, you know, when we were running. So that way I'm not pressured into doing something that I shouldn't do, possibly. And I just think that's the best way. So that'll be up to him how he wants to approach it.
Let's take a couple of questions off Zoom. Archie O'Reilly from Dive By Motorsports. Good morning, Archie.
Hi, Dave. First of all, for Joseph, you've obviously used the word perfect quite a lot in kind of what it takes to win here. But can you kind of just define what perfect actually means at Indy and what it takes to get there? You know, whether that's something in the team, your approach. What did it take to finally be perfect after all of those years to get over the line? And not once, but twice as well.
Yeah, I mean, maybe perfect's the wrong word. I don't know that you can have a perfect day any day, but, you know, you have to be as close to it as possible. You know, I guess the way I would sum it up is, you know, Indy magnifies the team effort more than anywhere. You know, I've stated that a lot, and I think it's very true, abundantly true here at this Speedway. Everybody has to, you know, pull forward and really perform in an excellent way. I don't know how you win this race without the complete team. It's the same thing sitting on the pole. You know, it just magnifies the team effort through and through. So on race day, you know, you can have all the ingredients. You can feel like you have the winning car underneath you. You can feel, you know, really good about the moves you're making. But if everything is not complete from a team side, you will not win the race. It just has to be almost as close to perfect as possible. So I think that's what I've tried to, you know, just continue to repeat, is that it's such a team effort here. It is everywhere, but it's magnified at Indy to another level that we don't see for the rest of the year.
And then for Rick as well, you obviously did this 4 times, so you had to be, quote unquote, kind of perfect 4 times to win this race. Looking back, how did you manage to achieve that feat, and how much did it mean to you to be remembered in that exclusive club?
You know, having the right team and the right equipment and the tools you need to get the job done is what it takes, and everything being in place at the right time, no mistakes. You're only, as the old saying, as strong as your weakest link. You know, and try to control all the variables and then have a lot of lady luck with you also. There's always a little lady luck involved, and you know, you control your own destiny to a point, but there's a little lady luck there too. So it's just all got to come together on the day, and it's like I've always said, you never know about this place until you see the checkered flag. And we were talking about that the other day, and somebody asked me after my first win, when did you realize you had it sewed up? And I said, once I came off of turn 4 heading for the checkered flag, not until I got by pit in. Because once I got by pit in, then I knew if all the wheels fell off, I could slide the rest of the way. But that's as soon as I let myself feel I had it won.
And then for Scott, we've obviously seen Simon Pagenaud with you again. What areas has he kind of helped you the most, and what more has he helped you with this year as well? And is this solely an Indy thing, or is he helping you kind of in the wider season as well?
We're talking the whole season, but I think Simon's been just really helpful in a lot of ways, just how I look at things outside the box. I probably, a detriment to my own career throughout the years is probably I haven't been as intricate with like looking at little details, and I think Simon's the professor in that regard. Like he's very, very, strives for perfection in a lot of ways, and how he sets up his car and what he feels. So it's probably looking at allowing me to look into more details and just the way I look at myself and the driving and the lines and what I'm doing with weight jacker and bars. So it's really helped sort of accelerate my progress here, and but really am enjoying working with a friend as well.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, Dave.
Thanks, Archie. Vincent Shardak, VL Media. Go ahead, Vincent.
Thanks, Dave. I've got only one question for Joseph. How do you handle stress and pressure when you know that you can make history, like winning 3 Indy 500? No one ever did that before. So, how do you feel about it?
I mean, there's two ways you could look at it. One way could be it could be very low stress. I mean, the odds of us winning it 3 times in a row are astronomical. You know, they're not in our favor. So what's the stress then? Just go out and enjoy the day. And so for me, that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is this is still, to Rick's point, it's still Indy. You feel the same stress every year you show up here, regardless of the circumstance. There's a lot of effort that goes in every single season. I mean, this is a 12-month process, building these cars, strategizing for what we're going to be doing throughout this month, and you want to perform every year for the team. All of us do. All of us feel that pressure on race day. I don't know that changes, whether it's, to Rick's point, whether it's the first time or the fourth time or whatever time it is. You feel the pressure regardless. And so when you're here for many years, you either end up enjoying that pressure or you let it sort of break you down. I enjoy the pressure of this race day. I think it's fun to go and perform, when it's really going to matter on the race. So, from the pressure standpoint, I don't think it changes year over year. And then if you just want to really simplify it, I don't know that the odds are very good for us to win it 3 times in a row. So what does it matter? Let's just have a good time running the race. I mean, for me, it's easy going.
I wish you all the best for next week. So thank you.
Thanks, Vincent. One more off Zoom. Liam from Fastest Formula News. Go ahead, Liam.
Thank you very much, Dave. Can you hear me okay?
We can, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. A question for Rick. Sorry again for, all the questions, Rick, but as somebody who's a young racing fan myself, I want to know a bit about how tricky was it driving at Indy in those days, particularly when it was so dangerous. Obviously we had Gordon Smiley's accident in '82. What was it like knowing, when you get onto that track that anything could go wrong with the car? I mean, nowadays, of course, it still happens, but what's it like now, back then, knowing that the chances of something going wrong were so high?
Really, you never really think about that. I mean, driving a car is what I love doing, and that's the whole reason I got into it. It started as a hobby just because I love driving the cars. And, you always try to keep it. I always felt like if I stay within my limits and the car's limits, there's not a problem. Don't have to worry about it. But, there's always things that can happen. And things end up happening around you from time to time. But, the old saying, you just kind of put that out of your head and continue on down the road. But the main thing for me is because it's what I enjoyed doing. And now, obviously, if I wasn't having fun at it and it wasn't what I loved doing, you couldn't make me get in one. So I think that is the main thing, is if you enjoy what you're doing, you just put it out of your head and go on.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah.
You got it. I would offer up it's still dangerous, by the way. So.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Let's go Alan and then Jenna after that.
Hi, Alan, Bestwick Speedway, PA. For all 3 of the drivers, trimming out, turning up the boost, qualifying mode at Indy is always tricky. New circumstances this year, is it slightly trickier, significantly more difficult? How will the next 48 hours be here for you, or 72 hours be?
Yeah, I think with the weight, it is more difficult, or it's more on a knife's edge. You know, as you saw a couple of crashes on the tests we had here. I think the wind is the thing that will play the biggest part in how difficult it's going to be. So, yeah, it will be interesting to see how it all plays out. The temperature will be a bit cooler, but you're going to have big winds, so these cars are affected a lot by that.
Jenna.
I don't know, excuse me, I don't know if maybe Tim's best for this question, but Simon has really enjoyed working with you, Scott, and it's a role that he thinks that he would like to expand if possible. Is there maybe something at Team Penske that he could do that involves him with the team and he can work with your drivers?
Simon's always welcome within our team. We spent some time together last night, and obviously, you know, how Scott wants to approach the race and how these drivers approach the race, I think is my experience is every driver's different. So I think it really depends on, you know, where the benefits are from an individual perspective. But Simon has a lot going on his own, you know, beyond our team or whatever. And, you know, I know Simon's been offered some really good things to do, but there's only so much that Simon really wants to do. So I think he can be a benefit for anybody around this place. So I don't think there's any limit in terms of what he does, but at the same time, he wants to be productive. So, you know, just hanging around probably isn't what he wants to do either. So, you know, I think we have a pretty good balance, and we're always open to, you know, him within our team. We always look at all the drivers that have been here as kind of part of our team, and I think that's what makes it special.
It's been great to see him back this week. Bruce, go ahead.
Everybody up there was part of the 2018 Indy 500 win, except for Scott, who wasn't here yet. But do you think that with the added weight from the hybrid, we'll see more of a 2018 style of race than we will see what we've seen the last couple of years, which is more passing?
Only if it was like a 90-degree day. It seems pretty similar to last year at the front, just switching back and forth. Yeah, I don't see anyone just driving away. It would have to be a very hot day for that.
Joseph, do you remember back in 2018, it seemed that track position was extremely valuable. Once Will was in the lead, it was very hard for anybody to pass him because of the way the arrow was at that time.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've answered this earlier in the week too. Just to echo Will, it's going to be, in my opinion, a very similar show to last year, bearing the weather isn't, you know, crazy hot. If it's a 90-degree day, then it can string out more. You know, I think the cars in a lot of ways drive in a similar fashion to last season. There's a new element with the hybrid that's going to change up, you know, the way you race. But you know, I think the ability to pass is not going to deviate that much from last year.
But at the end of the race, I believe you were telling me you need to be in the top three, because if you're any lower than that, you're not going to be able to fight it out.
Yeah,
for the
top
victory.
two, to be honest. You know, it would have, yeah, top three if these two get together type thing. But yeah, I think you kind of get locked out if you're not in the top two. It's just those guys are just going to go back and forth, and be sort of the same situation as the last lap last year.
Joseph.
As far as positioning, ooh, you're gonna have to watch to see. I don't know yet. You know, you can start studying during the race. I can tell you that.
We got time for one or two more. Jeff, go ahead, sir.
Do you guys think it's better on race day to soak in all the pageantry and like absorb all the crowd and all that stuff, or try to like block it out and get into the zone and focus? Like, what's better for you at this place?
I mean, coming here, my first time, it was 21, it was like 50%, and then I thought that was pretty crazy. And then the next year after that was where I saw a full-blown 500, and I enjoy just soaking it in. I think it's our one time a year where, you know, it genuinely feels like a Super Bowl, and it's our biggest race, and I think you don't know how long you're going to do this for. It's just really cool to just be a part of it. I mean, that's how I approach it. I enjoy having some friends come out and watch, and yeah, soak it in what's going to be a pretty cool day, hopefully.
Eric, go ahead.
Well, Long Beach last year, you kind of looked in the crystal ball and predicted a Team Penske front row lockout. I know we haven't passed Friday practice yet, but what do you think this weekend? Are you three going to be sitting here
This
Sunday
is
night?
hold on, this is very important what he says, because Will has an incredible crystal ball.
He does.
I
Yeah.
don't know how. He can predict the future. It's really weird.
He predicted his draw number the other.
Yes, I know.
Remember? He predicted
a
his
couple
draw.
years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, so what's your outlook this weekend? then?
I think one of our cars will be on pole, and I'm not sure about the front row lockout. It's we have the potential to do it, but the wind's going to play a part. So, I think one of our cars will be on pole.
All three in Fast Six?
Yes.
We settled this a while back. Yeah, we settled this a while back. It was unanimous that the drivers are going to draw from here on out.
Well, I still
And they've done a good job.
My wife did mine last year.
Well,
She will do it again.
I should say the drivers are going to decide
Yeah.
draws for them from here on out. Certainly, I'll decline.
I was just thinking, you asked that. I was like, what if I asked Tim to do it?
Yeah.
Probably say no, yeah.
No, we're in a good place.
What was that,
I
21?
should have got booed. I deserve to be booed.
Your last one was a bad one.
Yeah. That was crazy. I can't believe you got like all three just like.
Yeah.
That's a huge positive for us, having Takuma back. I love, having him back with us. This is it's kind of an annual event now, but it's one that I like a lot, and I'm, very pleased with, where the team is where we're at and where we're headed, where we're going, the progress we're making. We've added people over the off season that I think have given us some real insight and disciplines that are helping. And, I think last week certainly was an indication of that. And, so it's great being here. The weather hasn't been the most cooperative this year so far, but, looking forward to a good day today, looking forward to good qualifying over the weekend, and, getting ready for the race, which is always that's what we're here for, is the race. And of course, if I look at the weather forecast going out that far, and it looks like it's going to be pretty nice. So, the crowd's going to see a hell of a race. I have no doubt of that.
Fingers crossed in the weather. We'll see what happens next week. Mike, for you, I know it's been fun to watch Fox's coverage of the NTT IndyCar Series this year. From your perspective, what kind of boost has that created? Obviously, viewership's been up double digits and so on and so forth. A lot of new technology that they brought to the table as well.
Yeah, well, it's extremely exciting to see what Fox has been doing. And as you know, over the years, IndyCar has been on 2 or 3 different networks, throughout the season. Yeah. And I believe our potential race fans had a hard time finding when the race was going to be on. And then, when Fox came on board, thanks to Roger Penske and his people, we're having every practice, every qualifying round, every race on one network is going to be spectacular. As you said, we've already seen some excellent uptick in viewership, and obviously with them promoting it and us having the most diversified type of racing in the world with the best drivers and diversified drivers between short ovals, super speedways, road courses, and street courses, the entertainment will be spectacular as the viewership grows. And as you know, eyeballs is the most important thing to generating sponsorship. So I'm very, very excited about it, and I look forward to, we're on the upswing, and people forget, quite frankly, that in the mid-'90s, before the split, that IndyCar was much more popular than NASCAR. And then when the split happened, that's when everything went downhill. So with Roger taking over and getting the TV package where it's at, and the viewership and the attendance at the venues, I mean, we're really got some exciting things coming up in the future, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, attendance has been great for sure. Graham, welcome back. Good open test last month, as mentioned. You've been close to victory here. Weather's, as your dad has mentioned, a little bit challenging so far this week, but how have you guys progressed in the 15 car?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a challenging but positive week, I think, for everybody. Luckily all 4 of us have had the same feel with the car and expectation of the car. But no, I mean, I think I said it at the open test or after, I felt like the guys did a wonderful job, finding some speed in the off season, and I remained positive about that. I think,
we're feeling good as we go into today and tomorrow to see where this all shakes out. I also think Honda's done a really wonderful job this month. So we're excited to get those the new engines in these cars today and see what we've got. But no, it's been awesome to work with these guys this month. Cast of characters for sure, but it's been great. And like I said, I think everybody's had maybe at different levels, but the same feel of the car and been able to work towards a common goal, which has been tremendous. We've all been a little off schedule as far as what we're working on and things, but I think as we go towards today, it's clear what the goal is. It'll be great to have all four of us out there, working towards it. It's going to be, the next 2 days, 3 days are critical. It's going to be tricky tomorrow with the wind. Weather's been okay, I think, this month or this week so far, but the wind is always a major challenge in qualifying. We might see gusts up to 35 miles an hour or something tomorrow. I don't think I've ever experienced it quite that high, so it'll be interesting to see how it affects the cars, and we'll go out there and do the absolute best that we can. But a lot of reasons to be positive, throughout the team, and we're looking forward to the challenges ahead.
Yeah, Devlin, for you, obviously a strong start to the month of May, matching your best career start in the NTT IndyCar Series and the Sanzio GP, and some strong runs, the no-toe chart so far this week as well. Tell us about your month a little bit, partnership with Riley Children's Hospital as well, and how all of that is kind of tied into a big month for you so far.
Yeah, so I think it's been a great start to the month of May for us. We're looking forward to today. I think we had really a strong showing last week for all three of us to be in the Fast Six. Unfortunate the way race day went, but I'm really proud of everyone at our whole organization on the improvements made over last year, and I think we've got, as Graham had said, I think we've got really strong cars for the month of May, and I'm excited to see what we've got today. What I'm doing with Riley's Children's Hospital, together with Dogecoin and the Dogecoin community, is giving back to the neonatal intensive care unit. I was a preemie myself. I was born 15 weeks premature, so being able to rally the Dogecoin community and something I'm part of to give back to something that means a lot to me and my family is important to tie it into the greatest spectacle in racing and the biggest sporting event in the world is a great feeling.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, Louis, qualified third last weekend, new partner on board as well. Rookie of the Year, perhaps, is out there for you as well. Tell us about your week so far.
Yeah, good. I think, firstly, obviously, it's pretty surreal to be here. So still trying to take it all in and not only do as good of a job as I can, but enjoy the experience at the same time, right? So you only get one first time. But yeah, so far so good. I think we had a very, very strong open test. Definitely lacking a little bit the last few days, but we think we know where it is, and hopefully today, as Graham said, when we get the new engines in and turn up the boost and put our big boy shoes on, we will have something to show for it. So, so far, all good for me.
And Takuma, you're back. I know we heard from you yesterday, but obviously a very good week so far for you guys. Certainly back with a team that you know quite well. How has your week gone? How proud are you?
First of all, I'd like to thankful and a big thank you again, Bobby and Mike, make this happen. Not just coming back to the opportunity, but obviously, as everybody aware, that I had a big moment, an open test that team is working flat out to building an absolute brand new car, and these owners. Obviously, the commitment is unbelievable. So now it's just really grateful for the team, back to here. And I think it's like anything else, but I think the continuous of the working is getting stronger. So, it's great to be part of a development program over the course of the winters, and whole engineers are working so hard. I know it's applied to all the teams, but I think Reholeta Marine and Racing is certainly made a huge step forward. I mean, you saw Grand Prix weekend last week as well as open test. We showed the speed. Now, so far this week, I think we haven't put all the pieces together. So we still learning and creating and valuable data. And obviously, needless to say that Graham and I had a long-time relationship, so we trust each other. We share lots of stuff, and of course, Dev and Louis, new generation, young talented drivers, and obviously they learning a lot from us as well as they pushing us so much. So Graham and I have to push so mad. But no, I think it's a lifting whole team. So I really appreciate and feel proud, and I feel thankful to be part of this team.
And, well, it's always great to have you back at Speedway too, Takuma. And finally, to Jay, before we open it up for questions, I guess time flies, already over a month now since you joined Rahal Letterman Landing and Racing. Terrific time for this team right now, a lot happening right now. How do you build on certainly this start and then some of the positives you've seen with the team so far?
Yeah, well, Dave, first off, I want to thank you for the terrific job you do with these press conferences.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, it's been an amazing 40 days. Obviously, this team's got a great history, rich tradition, great ownership, committed ownership, good mix of, great mix of drivers. So the future's very bright. The facility we've talked about before is, second to none. So, yeah, there's just a lot of good people. We got a lot of really, really good things going on, and we're really excited to be here.
Kinsey has a microphone. Madeline has the other one on that side. We'll open up for questions, and time permitting, a couple off Zoom as well. Wolfgang, Johnny on the spot. First hand up. Go ahead, Wolfgang.
Two questions. Yeah. First question for you, Graham. You just mentioned that the wind is a little bit dangerous, important, whatever is the right word, here at the Speedway. Can you change the aero package in such a way at the car that it's not such an important fact anymore and better reaction to wind effective?
Well, look, the wind's the same for everybody. In these cars on an oval, it makes, I don't think even if you're at peak aero, at maximum downforce, it still makes a large difference. So I think the wind that we're going to get tomorrow is much more of a crosswind, from sort of the front straight to the back, whereas yesterday it was obviously, straight into three. We'll just have to adjust at the time. I mean, as a driver, you've got to be prepared for it. When you enter turn two, for instance, you've got to turn in a little bit earlier because when the wind really pushes you like that, you've got to get down, below the grip to let the car take a set versus you turn in late, you may just never get to the apex sort of thing. So, and then obviously when you turn into three and into four, it's going to become pretty neutral as you go through, right? And the wind gets on your nose. So there's, things that you've got to be prepared for. But as I said, it's the same for everybody. These cars nowadays, Dev and I were just talking about it. I mean, the whole idea of trimming and taking everything off of them, the rear wing is so small and so efficient, there's really not a lot of drag in it. So, the old days of saying that we ran whatever nose up, those days are kind of a thing of the past anyways. There's not much gain to it anymore. So you either have, you've got natural raw speed and good balance and you can do the time, or you don't, right? So we should be good. I think we put a lot of effort into that, and whatever tomorrow, comes at us with is we'll take it in stride and make the most of it. It's gonna be cool tomorrow. And of course, having a cooler day like that helps, period. So we'll see.
And the second question for Jay, can you specify your job with the team? Is it just responsible for the IndyCar operation or also for the IMSA operation?
Yes, thanks, Wolfgang. It's both. So obviously from the IndyCar perspective, I've been around that for a long time and have done that a long time. IMSA has been kind of new to me, but John Doonan and everybody at IMSA have been good friends for a long time. Have followed it very closely from afar, but the IMSA guys are doing a really good job. The BMW team's doing a really good job, so proud to be part of that too.
Nathan.
Morning, guys. Question both for Graham and Bobby. Graham, I know we could tell that you were pretty frustrated with the car yesterday and just not maybe being able to get the speed or the handle that you were wanting out of it. Where would you guys say you are in terms of confidence of being able to get through tomorrow stress-free compared to where the team has been these last couple of years?
Well, first off, tomorrow's never stress-free. I don't care what position you're in. It's tomorrow is an intense day, period. I'm not so worried about speed. I think for me, it's all about balance. I've struggled with the rear of the car kind of from the get-go. I've been quite neutral compared to, my teammates, even with the same setups. And that's what's frustrating a little bit, is just understanding why. We're running, in essence, I ran, I think, the same exact car pretty much as Dev yesterday, and at one point had like 15 degrees less steering angle at the apexes than he did, and That's a lot. So it's trying to understand why, I think, is the question. But as far as speed, like I think we'll be okay. I mean, I saw, a lot of guys late in the day, happy hour, go out, do Q sims. A lot were slower than us. Some couple were quicker, the guys that you would expect. But I think had we run at 5 o'clock, we would have been quicker. The track's just purely better at that time. So I'm not by any means in a sort of panic mode in that regard. We'll see what today brings too. I know that we've been fairly conservative on some things, and today's a new day. So I'm eager to get out there. I'm eager for all of us, all four of us, to get out there to understand where we're at. But I feel good in the signs that that we see. Certainly for Dev, has a super fast car. So I think things are looking really positive for him. Louis and I are about the same, I think. And we'll find out today with Taku when we're all on the same engine spec to see what we get. So there's no reason to be in a panic yet. I think Twitter likes to panic about everything all the time. Leave that to us. We'll figure it out tomorrow and see if if we've got a problem or we're good.
Bobby, how are you feeling going into this weekend?
Well, I have to say, I have tremendous confidence in this team. We have Todd Malloy leading our engineers. He's a two-time 500 winner, lead engineer winner. Weldon, and can't remember who the other fellow that they won with. But anyway, Todd's a sharp guy. We've got a lot of, good people. Yves Turon, who's Graham's engineer, he's been in IndyCar racing for quite a while. I mean, we have some real experience in the team this year that we didn't have last year, or maybe even last 2 years. So I sat down with them earlier, and they led me through, the whys and the wherefores and what we're going to do and plan. So, and I have great confidence in that. I'm pretty excited about it. So I'm not worried. And I think a lot of it is just, for us, obviously, for guys like Penske and Andretti, they were, or Ganassi, I should say, they did the development on the hybrid units. So they have a lot more time, experience with those than the rest of us. We probably had some of the least amount of time of any of the teams, ourselves and I think Dale Coyne maybe, right? And everybody else had more. So it's catch up. We did have a good spring test here, the open test. So, I think we have a lot of good insight into where we want to be, need to be, and can be. So I'm not worried about it at all, and I'm looking forward to today as well. And, having 4 good cars, 4 good drivers, that generates a lot of information, and I think we have the ability to take advantage of that. So I'm in a good spot.
Eric?
Lou, I think the most important question is this a 1986 Bobby Rahal stash or a 1993 Nigel Mansell?
It was actually in the contract when we signed with Rahal. I had to have a moustache. So
Nice.
no, I guess I'll say Bobby. Yeah. Yeah, you're my inspiration.
You need a little bit more of a foo.
Yeah, okay. I need to buy some
grow it
gel.
now.
Just some gel I can use?
Yeah. No.
Any left over? No, okay.
Graham?
Yeah.
Well, he's got plenty.
I'll message him.
I got some too.
Yeah.
And Graham, you were saying yesterday in the broadcast that you weren't going to lay it on the line yesterday, but you're willing to lay everything on the line on Saturday. Just what are you going through in the car on Saturday on the Razor's Edge?
There's a time and a place, to do it, and obviously, yesterday, just when you get a big wiggle or you've got something, for me at least, there's no reason to just stay out there and pound around. Typically, whatever your balance is on lap 1, it kind of exaggerates as the run goes on. So, that's all it was really about. But no, I mean, today, tomorrow in particular, you've got to do what it takes, and we'll be ready for that. So, like I said too, I think, we've worked really hard as a group to continue to get better. Our feel of the car is the same, which has been, really particularly a positive for us, that we can work towards a common goal. I may be more sensitive to the rear than most, for sure. But, the reality is that we've got to continue to work to make the cars better, and I think we can do that.
And how many game plans do you have with the hybrid for qualifying? I mean, we talked the other day, using a headwind, you could use a tailwind if it's coming out of a different direction.
Well, this is what Dad was referencing a second ago is just the knowledge of the hybrid is massive. And we actually, all of us drivers and engineers have been watching almost everybody on their in-cars to understand what they're doing. Because they're doing things that we didn't really think possible, to be honest. Like, you know, all of the Chevys seem to be regenerating during, like gearing short and regenerating at peak speed on the back straight. Well, you know, we can obviously change how much regeneration there is. And that's where Dad's talking about the knowledge. Like, you know, when we started with this thing, we didn't know how to do any of that. And really it hasn't been until like the last race or two that we've started to play with, you know, regen maps and how much regen, because, you know, for us, if you just pull the paddle, like it would really decelerate the car. Well, obviously what we're seeing is that they're not having that. So they're clearly messing with the mapping to reduce the regeneration amount, and therefore they're able to use it more throughout the run. There's the ability to, you know, just how you use the deploy, when you use the deploy, where you use the deploy. Like there is so much more that goes into this than I think people, you know, realize or recognize that even today, I'm pretty sure all of us will be trying something different to learn, to try to see what is best for us. So it's an interesting thing. I mean, the hybrid, it is quite powerful here on a single lap. If you utilize it correctly, it does make a hell of a difference in lap time, or lap speed. So there's a lot to be learned there.
Kevin?
Got one for you, Louis. You've always looked comfortable as you've been advancing through the ranks in the recent years. You still look comfortable, even though you're here in the midst of the Indy 500. Do you feel comfortable on the inside? And how has the experience of this team prepared you for this?
To be honest with you, I don't think you're ever comfortable going 220 mile an hour. But yeah, I think so far, really enjoyed my past, 5 races. Have we did 5 races? Yeah.
Yep,
5 races, sorry. A bit of a blur now. But I've really enjoyed the last 5 races. I think, as I've said before, it's massive credit to everyone at Rahal, Letterman Lanigan Racing. You know, they've had rookies in the past, and they know how to deal with rookies and what's best for me, right? So it's very much about coming into this championship with the mindset of I'm here to learn, and I need to listen to Graham and especially Takuma, at the 500 as well. So, yeah, I'm blessed to have a great group around me to be able to help me with that, right? So I think if you were to be thrown into a top team, I know I've seen a lot of good drivers from Indy Next being thrown into top teams and completely sink because, those teams aren't used to having those rookies, and I don't think they really know how to support those new drivers. So I've really enjoyed the last 5 races, and I think we're just now beginning to show our strengths. I think we had some issues in the first kind of 3 or 4 in the races. But yeah, after the race at the Soncio Grand Prix with our qualifying result and a pretty strong race, definitely had some left on the table in the race. But yeah, I'm still learning, but definitely enjoying it.
Got time for 1 or 2 more. Danny, and then Bruce here in the front row. Go ahead, Danny.
Jay, every driver that suits up and gets into one of these cars owes you a debt of gratitude for your commitment to safety during your tenure with Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the series. What's it been like for you to hit the ground running with this organization? I mean, I think it's probably not a lot different from what you did for this series, wearing all those different hats. But again, on a personal note, salute to safety, everything that you did for listening to drivers and try to develop things. And what's it been like just hitting the ground running?
Well, it's been great. First off, this group here I consider them very good friends. So, going in there the first day, it was never awkward at all. I mean, it was like you're coming to work with your friends. So that part was very seamless, and it's exciting. We're excited about the future. From the safety perspective, thank you. Obviously, that was a great project. It was something that the paddock worked on very hard collectively. It was a great paddock-wide effort. So it's definitely done its job. And the Red Bull guys, Red Bull Advanced Technology guys, were very important to that. Henkel was very important to that. It's evolved some since we first did it, in 2020, I guess. But yeah, it was. It's made a massive difference, and we're really proud of that. Thank you.
Bruce?
This is for Mr. Rahal and Mr. Lanigan. How great is it to know that a driver like Takuma is pretty much plug and play? You can just drop him into the cockpit, and he's going to go fast.
Go ahead, Mike. That's all yours.
I don't have enough knowledge to really answer that, but I know one thing. I know Takuma's fast, he's brave, and he's smart, and it gives me a big comfort feeling, knowing that whenever he's in a car, there's a chance for him to win.
Yeah, you know, I think I've said it many times, but Takuma's a pro. You know, I mean, the guy's, you know, he's a hell of a race car driver. You know, I watched him race when he was in Formula 3, when I was at Jaguar Formula 1, you know, and he was always at the front. And when he came to us in, 2012, I think, something like that, and, you know, we damn near won this race, and I didn't think we had a chance in hell. And it wasn't because we had the best car, it was because he took it there. And of course, we saw the same thing, you know, a great disciplined drive, you know, in 2020. You know, I think Scott Dixon still hasn't gotten over the fact that he was going to make it on fuel, you know. So anyway, he's just a pro. I just love having him with us, and, you know, I think he brings great value to us as a driver, as a person, and also, let's face it, you know, he's a great representative for the country of Japan, and that's pretty cool to have somebody like that in your car.
Strong start to this season. No better way to celebrate 35 years, I'm assuming there. So what has stood out to you about 2025 in this race team?
Well, we've been having an okay year so far.
Okay.
Yeah. What stood out?
Where do you start?
Yeah. You know, obviously, it's believe me, it's as much as I don't want to say it's a surprise to us. I mean, but it's certainly a positive. It's a positive thing that we had no idea we could accomplish, and still we have a lot of season to go yet, and but you know our focus has shifted away from the series, you know, to the race now. You know, I mean, so we come into May like we have for another the past 34 years or whatever, and you know you just take it one day at a time. I mean, we go from thinking about the championship to thinking about the race. So I think is the easiest way to put it. Instead of long-term, you know, thinking, you know, me as the team owner or Mike as you know, running things, it's, you know, our mindset goes from, instead of being out in front of the team, you know, we're out in front maybe only a day, and so it's, you know, we just try to get them, like Mike says, we try to get the most out of every day, and that's what it's all about when you get here. I think, you know, you can't get out over your skis. You know, so far it looks like it's been a safe month. That's a good thing. You know, lots of talk about, you know, cars and what causes this and what causes that, and you know, we have a little different, you know, weight distribution in the cars this year makes it for some interesting scenarios that we haven't dealt with before, maybe, but you know, it's all part of it.
Alter how it plays. You know, also opens up the issues of, you know, clipping or, you know, maybe options where, you know, the hybrid's not going to be working as it should as well. So we've seen that in other races. So I think, you know, you've really got to try to understand, you know, when to go and where to go and what's going to be the best play out. The other thing too is with cautions that we've seen close to the end of the race, you know, kind of changes that as well. So I think the biggest thing that we've probably all learned so far is that you've got to be ready for change is probably the biggest thing. But I think it could ultimately change how the end of the race plays out.
And then, say, coming down the straight here, do you notice the difference if you're in traffic and you use some of that harvested energy? Is it a noticeable gain that you get from it?
Yeah, if it's working correctly, it's definitely a big gain. The issue is that everybody else has it too, right? And strategies typically kind of end up being the same, and especially in you know, the scenario of race running, you know, you're kind of recharging most of the time, you know, whether you're going into 1 or 3, depending on the traffic and how that works as well. So you're using it quite a lot, but the way that the energy is almost maybe too much. You know, I think if you could only really deploy once a lap, I think it could change it a little bit better. to whereas now I think everybody's kind of deploying out of 2 out of 4.
Okay, cool. Thanks very much.
Wolfgang, go ahead, sir.
One question for you, Mike. Good morning. This hybrid technology, we know it's heavier. From the preparation point of view, is it more difficult to set up the car, to prepare the car, or you see no difference to the previous car?
You know, I think, Wolfgang, thanks for the question. I think what's interesting for me, from my perspective, is certainly different from the journalistic perspective of racing. It is. Journalists work on themes. What is today's theme? Certainly it's hybrid. Race teams work on racecraft. Racecraft for us is how you win the race. Hybrid's been introduced to us, and we're going to work really, really hard to be ready for that theme from a racecraft perspective. You guys are going to write a story about how hybrid affected the race. I think they're actually different. I think they're different. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Wait for the mic, Wolfgang. There you go.
Easy and difficult technology in any kind of racing.
Yeah, I think that's right. But we try to make the difficult technology easy, if that answers your question. Thank you.
Let's take a couple questions off of Zoom. Archie O'Reilly from Dive Bomb Motorsports. Go ahead, Archie.
Cheers, Dave. First of all, a couple for Alex. I'm kind of interested in how you absorb the success that you're having at the moment, in the moment. You know, every celebration kind of seems as big as the last when you get out of the car. How much are you making sure you kind of actually enjoy it while it's happening?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. We take every win as if it's the first one and the last one. We don't know when the next one is going to be. You always want and work towards trying to be able to celebrate almost every race weekend, but the truth is that it's tough to win. Like, you need every single piece to be perfect. So whenever we get that chance, we celebrate, and at least during that moment we take it and enjoy it as much as possible, and then switch to the next one. But yeah, we enjoy every single win as if it's the first one and the last one.
And then obviously there's this perception that kind of a driver's career is almost incomplete if they don't win the 500. Does that kind of resonate with you? I know despite your multiple championships, how important is it to you that you do win the Indy 500?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think as an IndyCar driver, if you've not won the Indy 500, you're not going to be 100% complete. So yeah, that's what we're working towards. I think we've been learning, we've been getting closer and closer, and I feel more comfortable every time that we're on track, and hopefully we can change it soon. But yeah, I mean, if my career ends in like 20 years and I've not won an Indy 500, it'll be for sure not a successful career.
And then just one for Scott as well. You mentioned yesterday after practice about the wind over qualifying weekend. How does wind impact things when you are going kind of at those speeds? And I guess, how do you adapt to that, both kind of in terms of setup and as a driver as well?
Yeah, I think wind, obviously, I think it looks like it's going to be a little bit cooler, which is kind of a nice situation. I think today's going to be pretty tough. It's got a little bit of wind, and then it's going to be pretty hot. It's easier just to miss things, I guess. If you're getting gusts, gears are a little bit harder to get right. It may change some of the hybrid strategy with if you're getting a lot of limiter, you may regen more and deploy more throughout the run, opposed to kind of other strategies that you had set in mind. So I think it's just more variables. I think it would definitely be difficult. I think the degradation over the 4 laps is definitely up with the weight. So yeah, I guess it's like I said yesterday. I think it will just create opportunity for more mistakes. So you kind of have to be really dialed in.
Cheers, guys. Best of luck. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Archie. Let's go back in person. Jenna, go ahead.
Chip and Mike, you guys have talked before about when you noticed Alex and how special he was, and that he could probably make something of his career as a race car driver. Now that he's had this start to the season, what is it that he's doing right? And why is he having this overwhelming success?
I think, obviously he's doing what he's supposed to do. The team's doing what they're supposed to do. And when it all comes together, I think Barry Wanzer said it the best. He said, it's hard to get everything right. It's hard. But when everything's right, you have some amount of success. And, but look, I feel bad for some of these other teams, not because we're beating them, because they haven't had a chance. I mean, some of these guys are beating themselves, whether it's in the pits or they're having, mechanical issues. And so, we've been the benefit of that also. And, but for the, obviously for the first 5 races, the 10 car has done everything right. Not put a wheel wrong, got in and out of the pits, got through the start, had the right tire strategy, whatever you want to say. I mean, but it's hard to get everything right, believe me. I mean, that's what we've been working at for 35 years, is to get everything right. And it's down to, the people on the team. Their kids are having a bad day in school. I mean, I hear it all, but when you have everybody rowing this ship in the same direction, you're going to have some amount of success. And right now, that's what's happening. And but like Alex said, though, we treat every one like it's our first win, and it could be our last. So we want to enjoy the ones we do, but that's what we work at every day.
I just want to clarify, you have employees who come to you and tell you about their kid's bad day at school?
Yes.
And what is the advice you give?
It's just part of it, you know what I mean? It's part of, these people have, everybody has a family, and everybody has things they're dealing with outside of their job that could affect their job. And, we try to minimize all that. Yeah.
We've got Bruce Martin here in the front row. Bruce, go ahead.
Chip, back when you raced, qualifying rules were a lot different. You really had one attempt. Mm-hmm. And you had to wait for the right time. You had to wait for the wind to die down, for the temperature to be right. You might be in line, but you could pull out of line. Mm-hmm. Once you took that time, the only way you could remove it would be to remove the car and then go to a T car. Mm-hmm. Was that more stressful than what we have now, where you have multiple attempts and you can actually tune on the car?
I would like to see it go back to that, because the one thing that people forget back then too, and we're talking about back then was in the 80s, in the early 80s, beginning in the early 80s up until the 90s, it was like that. And what people forget was, these engines weren't as reliable then as they are now. You had guys, I can't tell you how many times I sat here in the pit lane and watched some guys smoke the whole straightaway. That was like, I don't want to say it was an everyday occurrence, but it was, you'd see 6 or 8 of those a month, and you don't see any of that anymore, and so that's what even made it more stressful was, but these engines are reliable now, and when they're reliable, you can have rules like that make it more, would tighten things up a bit, I think, and and you believe me, practice would be a whole different thing, and I think they should look at that.